All right, board gaming enthusiasts, Massive Darkness Tactics. I want to share with you some of the ideas, some of the decision trees that I like to use in Massive Darkness. Of course, with the duality, no spoilers here, no giveaways, so I'm not going to be talking about certain magic gear or certain ways to level up your character. I want you to discover that. But that said, sometimes we need a little bit of help, or sometimes we're looking for a tactical way. I'm pulling in that Wargamer Fritz, right? I'm pulling in that wargaming analysis on the table and applying it to Massive Darkness because I love what Massive Darkness brings to the table. And as an engine, as a game engine, what it puts out, I think it does a really good job of it. The background. I feel like we need a little bit of a foundation, condensing this into 2 or 3 minutes or a minute or so. Certainly up on my channel here, however you've discovered this video, this podcast, this vlog, whether it's through the email notification because you're one of my subscribers, or you've been browsing YouTube looking for Massive Darkness and you're like, okay, I'll check out this Fritz guy. Up on my channel, in the playlist, I have under board games, further Massive Darkness analysis, and the link underneath this video will take you to my blog where, again, we've kind of got a little bit more MD in analysis. So you define this whether it's a criticism or a good thing. Depends on what side of the coin you're on, but they are connected, of course. Massive Darkness throws a massive amount of miniatures at you, throws a lot of miniatures at you. And as soon as we add in some of the additional minion packs, we're not even getting into the Kickstarter, we're just talking core and what's available in retail, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of bosses coming at you. There's just tons and tons of stuff. I love that. I love just hacking through tons of stuff. I love rolling dice. I love looting, all that type of stuff. But the challenge here, of course, is it is somewhat potentially unbalanced. Because although you level up very, very quickly in the game, and a lot of people will say, well, in game design, the quick leveling of Massive Darkness with the heroes, with the adventurers, with the characters is to counter the random. I've played enough of it to say I disagree with that. I think the leveling up is done quickly because it's trying, in essence, to capture this role-playing experience and condense it into one game as opposed to 5, 10, 15 games. How many of us are eternally level 1 in or eternally starting out like in Descent 2nd edition? Because you can't get the group together, or you can only play one weekend, or you're playing a campaign, then you stop, then you restart. Massive Darkness gives you the chance to slow the campaign down, but its default mode is you start the dungeon as a noob and you leave, just a massive gladiator, battle wizard, hero, berserker, whatever it's going to be on there. So yes, certainly as you level up, and you want to level up quickly because it's going to build your experience to be able to counter it, there is still this idea of swing. There is still this idea of you could draw some tough minions. You could draw some tough mini-bosses, the agents in there. You could get hit with some really powerful wandering monsters. You might be 20 or 30 minutes in, and you're going to get wiped out. I mean, welcome to the Massive Darkness in the dungeon. What did you expect? You just can't walk into the unknown and dominate. You might not. You're going to have to use all your resources. Personally, when that happens, then it's a heroic last stand. Then we're just going to kind of castle up in some part of the dungeon, and we're going to go down swinging, and it's just going to be a mound of plastic with a plastic pyramid of broken minions and bosses and our heroes on top. I mean, that's kind of the way I like to approach it. But tactically, how can we minimize that? So I find and again, no spoilers, in the beginning as you're leveling up, the gear is the most important. Getting some different weapons, having ways to activate the dice, having ways to mitigate damage and armor, being able to attack at range or multi-attacks. So in the beginning, the acquisition of magic items, arms, armor, that is important. Now, of course, you're building up experience as you go. Then as you gain experience and you trade the experience in and you start building whatever decision tree, whatever skill tree you're going to make for your character, at about the halfway point, once you're 2 or 3 in, the actual arms and equipment and magic items becomes a lot less important. Yes, at the higher tier magic items, there's some amazing bling out there. I mean, you're like, I need this. This is amazing. I don't want this game to end because I'm having so much fun. But eventually you're just awash in stuff. You're literally just like dropping it as you go. You know, you're just dropping like magic swords and fireball staves just everywhere because like I don't even need this gear anymore. The skills then take over and become so important. The challenge is that mid-level to high level as you push into the dungeon, things escalate very, very quickly. Even if the random is good towards you, stuff starts pouring in. We see this with Zombicide, Season 1, Modern. We see this with Black Plague. In my opinion, Zombicide Invader, as of this podcast, as of this vlog, it's still awaiting delivery. You know, the Kickstarter was over a couple of months ago. I see a similar mechanic in there. It's kind of the hallmark of the massive miniature games that are put out. But with Massive Darkness, it's a little bit hidden on there, so it kind of takes us by surprise. So you enter the dungeon, you're at the starting point. As soon as you kick down that door and engage the first group of monsters, you are now on a timer. An internal timer is running in the game. Every single turn that goes by, the game is going to get stronger. It might get a little bit stronger by not spawning a random monster. It might get a lot stronger by spawning some stuff. Depending on what's kicked down in that door, it might escalate a lot or a little, but every single turn loop, the game is getting stronger and stronger. Zombicide Black Plague, you see this the most on there. And if you're a Zombicide Black Plague fan like I am, this is one of the core tactics here of the internal timer. At the beginning, there's a couple of zombies running around. You're taking them out. You're like, I don't know what the internet's talking about. This game is nothing. It's easy. But then a necromancer appears, an abomination appears, you open up a door, there's massive, massive chain spawns all throughout, and next thing you know, it's literally a wash in miniatures. Often, I love bringing Zombicide Black Plague. I love bringing Massive Darkness to the gaming club for pickup games, because those are both games that everyone can get into. And when I set them up, especially with Massive Darkness and the other monster packs, I will set them all up on a side table by segment and segment it out with the miniatures. So this way, as we can grab them as we need them and utilize them. New players, they'll be like, wow, look at all these miniatures. Are we going to get to fight everything here? It's like, yeah, we are. We've got to be ready for it. What character do you want to play? Or they'll be like, they'll enter the dungeon and they'll look and say, look, there's no way that we're going to go through all these miniatures. Yeah, we will. On there. People are not ready for it. So if you don't have that previous experience going in, the way it escalates. So at the beginning, you're trying to get magic items. You're trying to get gear. The internal timer has started. Things are weakest at the beginning. If you can survive into the middle skill trees, there's a good chance that you will be able to complete the mission. So the strategy at the beginning, obviously if you have the players for it, is to try and break up the group. It's hard for me to even say that, because in so many role-playing games and so many miniature games and so many players co-op versus many versus card AI, you never want to split the group up. Never. Right? Zombicide Black Plague, Zombicide Modern, never. No, don't. But the unique mechanic, again, no spoilers, of MD, Massive Darkness, is you've got the minions, you've got the agents, you've got the boss monsters on there. They're mixing and matching at various times. If I've mixed the cards up, I really don't know when they're going to appear. So it is embracing the random and realizing chances are at the beginning, this is my opportunity. I want to split off the party. I want one group now, wizard and fighter support maybe on one side, fighter support and maybe rogue support on the other side. You're trying to split the party equally. You're not going like, all right, fighters over there, squishies over there. You're going to divide your group as best you can. But what you're looking to do is kick down one set of doors, kick down another set of doors, farm and get some gear as quickly as you can. Because again, that timer starts when you kick down the first door, that internal timer. You want to get as much gear as quickly as you can, pushing on. Now, I can't tell you exactly when, because it's based on the spawns, it's based on the mission, it's based on how you level up and what you've drawn with the gear. But eventually you're going to move into the middle tiers, the middle part of the game. Miniatures are going to be flooding that table like crazy, like mad. That's when you have to come together. That's when you are literally playing on the same room, or perhaps a tile over, or perhaps 2 or 3 spaces over, and you are working 100% as a team. The only time that you are going to break off with someone, depending on the mission, no spoilers, there's a few missions where one of the characters has to accomplish something, almost like a suicide mission. Sacrifice everyone else in the party. Don't worry, they'll take your broken bodies out, or your teleport out on there. Get an item, get some gear, end up on this space, do this. That's when you're not going to be able to do it as a party. Because as for those missions, for those encounters, as you move into the end game, you are flooded with so much stuff. There's so much stuff on there that the rest of the party the other actors are literally going to have to hold things down, literally shut off a part of the dungeon, make that battle line, hold things down, and send that other player off. That's the matrix. That's kind of the checklist of tactics flow of the game that I'm looking at with Massive Darkness. Now, the last piece I feel compelled to add, I love these types of games because you're just throwing dice, you're having fun, you're seeing what happens, you're getting to look at a lot of eye candy with miniatures. If it's painted, the game looks even more amazing on there. They're social games. They're getting together, and it's you and your friends versus the AI card engine on there. I don't believe in being an alpha player. I don't believe in alpha players. Alpha players are someone that they sit down at the table and it's a co-op game, and they're going to tell everybody else what to do. So then it's like, well, first of all, that's rude. But second of all, then why are we even bothering to play a co-op game? Why don't you just play all the characters and we'll watch you play? I mean, sometimes an alpha player is really that bad on there. So I go out of my way, even if I'm intimately familiar with Massive Darkness and the internal calculations and stuff. I believe when you select your character, that is the avatar on the table. And we are in character. You get 100% control and choice of your character. I might recommend in my in-character voice, if I'm playing the barbarian, we should stick together, or we should go here, we should do that. But I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to demand that you don't break off and go for that loot. I'm not going to demand that you move here or do that. It's your turn. You make the analysis. Now we're going to talk it out as a group. We're going to try and make some tactical decisions, but you bear the responsibility for your character. I do not like alpha players. These full co-op games that are throwing a lot of dice at you and a lot of stuff, there is a little bit of component possibility for being an alpha player. I think we need to look out, much like we have Kingmakers and other aspects of board gaming, and this isn't unique to Massive Darkness. This is a podcast and already a vlog for another talking point, but I want to make sure that I'm not an alpha player, you're not an alpha player, and we're not bringing kind of that uncoolness to something as cool as Massive Darkness.